You can lie and stop complaining. We all know it's the dog you're banging. Ugh. Let me see. Are we live? I see data being sent. It's much cooler in here now, too. I have a generator and air conditioning. So apparently we're streaming. Let me take a look at YouTube and see if that is actually the case. Let's see. Cool. Calm. Connect your encoder to go live. Mm-hmm. Well, that looks live enough to me. All right, cool. Let's see. So one of the things I do is day 10 of our editing, and we're up to 15 chapters. So if I've actually been keeping up with, not that one. I need the date. Day 10. So that's an accomplishment. The big thing is that, well, hold on. Let me get some people into this thing. Let's see. Oh, man. Mm-hmm. Da, da, da. All right, let's do this live edit stream. All right, let's see. I don't think I actually get any people from this Twitch writing thing, but I've been on this server forever, so I might as well link it. 18 plus writing discussion. Oh yeah, yeah, I want to be in that. Oh god. Let me see. Where's the spam your stream thing? I think that's all I really do here. They've been getting spammed by a bot constantly. There we go. And let me see. Oh wow, I'm like the first person in several days. Yeah, they really have lost steam since I last did this. Let's see. I don't think there's anywhere else I would spam. I used to spam this in JRE, but let me see. irccloud.com is asking you to show notifications. Yes, just barely alive. Although I wouldn't call this living. Oh shit. Oh no. They got me. Agatha. One, I'm now up to $12 for cursing on stream. Second, I want a big thank you to Agatha, unless you, hopefully you didn't mean to remain anonymous there, but for your very generous donation to the Robin Martillo fundraiser to combat leukemia. Your $40 brings us up to $150 of our goal. And as you know, I would like to make $500 before this stream is over. So we are within blogging distance of our goal right there. And you're a big help there, big help, Sloth. And I don't know the IRC nickname of the person who sent in $10, so I will not expose them. See, like I had zero congestion, and then I start to stream instantly, like snuffling and huffling and what have you. Well, let me remind you what we were doing in the story. So, I mean, it's really handy actually to be able to see. Oh no, I don't want to do that whole thing. I had to edit the name of the chapter because I just realized we've only done 14 chapters, not 15. And let's see. So we had last chapter was a long one. The chapter 14,666 was really kind of like a big deal here. So you can see how many people are checking this out on a regular basis here. So let's see. Overall, 153 people have viewed the first chapter. Half of them made it to the second chapter. Oh wow, actually it picks up a little bit once we get to chapter 4. And then you start to fall off as you get more into the story there. And then we're down to like 24 reads there. Keep in mind, more time elapses and so forth. That was me, wasn't it? I think you gave a different name for both. So cool. You're in the $50 club. Curious what I see on the donation dashboard. I see the mail forwarder that you use there, and then the second one I think it had your nickname in it there. Cool. So yeah, don't carry this whole thing. My idea is that we will at some point get a few. So I will tell you that this is not a lot of people super interested in this story, which is a shame for my goal to win a Hugo Award with it. But sometimes that's how it is, man. Like something that seems super cool to me, like miniature war games in the 1970s, may not be so cool to other people. Like I think leukemia is rocking, for instance, and some people may not feel that. But it's good to see all the work that we've done so far. There were like 3 or 4 people who are kind of regularly commenting here. And again, this is, I see Royal Road as a good place to maybe develop some interests and so forth. Let me see. I'll check later on how like the advertising and stuff is doing. So actually, I could bring the Martillo fundraiser onto the screen there, but I don't want to expose people's. Hold on, let me actually close this thing so that there's no chance of me fat fingering and exposing data or whatever there. Because it's the window that displays is supposed to only be this editing window, but for some stupid reason, I'm editing this in Google Pages, right? And I'm not a fan at all. I think I thought I was going to use Gemini for help with the proofreading, but Gemini turned out to be trash at proofreading, so I had to do it the hard way with ChatGPT. No, I had to do all the work manually. But it is what it is. Ain't what it ain't. So hopefully you had a good 4th, Agatha. Mine was real messed up because we lost all kind of power, and people don't celebrate the 4th of July here. So the fireworks that I heard were just gypsies firing off guns. And nobody's celebrating because we do that every night. So I was telling everybody that we got hit, the power station got hit by an Oreshnik, but no, they can't build rockets that fly that far, actually. All their stuff falls apart. I am interested to see if the Reds do take over Moldova. I'm watching reddit.com constantly, and I'm seeing all kinds of communist gobbledygook posted there. So that might soon be the case. All right, hold on. I need to be brighter. Does that help or hurt? Oh yeah, that does not help at all. Here, there we go. All right, is what it is, ain't what it ain't. Either you can or you can't. I'm going to try and find fireworks in this town. They shut off like 4 of them. So I sat on the side of the road for an hour looking like a weirdo. Man. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like back when I used to live in Brooklyn, they would just literally, Puerto Ricans would be firing off just homemade bombs and stuff all night long, right? And like dogs would be like, ah, freaking out and so forth. For some reason, during the pandemic, just people every single night were firing off fireworks. I don't know where they were getting them or why they were doing them, but I am astonished that more people shooting off fireworks weren't murdered. Because I was definitely like, after 2 or 3 weeks of that, not getting any sleep, I was like, I wonder what would happen if somebody was to go on top of a brownstone with a 30-06. Would ShotSpotter get them? And it turns out no. ShotSpotter cannot identify a 30-06 off the top of a brownstone. It's made for street level guns. Here's like a big old bang like that, and it's like, oh, a jet plane must have gone supersonic. So if you want to take out JFK, just know that ShotSpotter will not stop you. All right, I guess I'll get down to the editing there rather than just shit posting on my own stream. I'm not gonna ding myself $1 for saying shit posting. It's in the dictionary. All right. Now let's do it. So I think this is a fantasy chapter. Let's read through chapter 15, and I do need a name for this. All right. Let's see. You come over here so I can grease on over. A doomed feeling dogged Burback Breakbow's steps. As the day burned down, he paused often and cast his eyes across the strange desert, wishing the ambush would come. I wish the ambush would come. Yeah. I wish the ambush would come. Only the capital E. Only the elves shared his concern. The dwarves and men were too busy with their misery. I feel bad that men don't get a capitalized. Let's see. Although, think about like what a pain in the arse. Can I get away with saying arse without charging myself $1? Um, hold control when I'm shifting with arrow keys and highlight on word boundaries. What was that? Somebody hacking this thing? I don't think this is shared with anybody. Shared with one person. Oh. All right. So what am I doing here? All right. So control. Oh, okay. Yeah, like where it jumps from word to word or whatever there. Um, I have so much muscle memory with this, but yeah, that's kind of interesting. Um, I did not know that you could do that. I've been using a computer for 80 years. In dog years, or Roma years, which is Roma get so a dog year is 7 human years, and then a Roma year is 3.4 dog years, and plus half of a cockroach year. So you figure out the math. Yeah, I wonder if that's useful. Maybe I should map a mouse key to it because I do a lot of this kind of like whatever, and there is a control like right next to this thing, so I could easily do that. I could choose to learn this. All right. A doomed feeling dog Burback Breakbow's steps as the day burned down. So like if we were really ripping off, so Burback Breakbow draws heavily from a series called I think like Felix and Gorek or Gortusk or something like that, from a series of books called Troll Slayer. Let me get the actual names of these characters right here. Gotrek, I believe. So Troll Slayer was like it was written in 1999. It was an episodic collection of short stories um, between a dwarf slayer seeking a heroic death to atone for a past disgrace and a human poet who swears a drunken oath to chronicle Gotrek's demise. So it sounds hokey as all get out, but wait, what's Skate Slayer? Skaven Slayer? Oh, I haven't read this one. But anyhow, these were written by William King, and they were really dope. And I say that not just in the context of like dope for Games Workshop, just objectively dope. Those stories are like every bit as good as like the Robert Howard style Conan, like that kind of swords and sorcery stuff. Really is solid, and I highly recommend it if you like that kind of stuff. And so this character absolutely rips off all kinds of cool stuff from that. He has his own thing that we'll get into later in the thing, but it's in that tradition of dwarven berserkers. I don't know if Tolkien had any of those. I did not read Lord of the Rings. I'm protesting the lack of inclusivity. Uh, but anyhow, only the elves shared his concern. The dwarves and men were too busy with the other dwarves. Yeah, I've made that like much less elegant by adding that. Let's just say the other dwarves. The other dwarves were too busy with their misery. In the white wastes of Kayabad, in the white wastes of Kayabad, the days blazed and the nights were bitterly cold. Stinging wind bit at their backs. Here. Stinging wind bit at their backs, and a weird dirge. I like actually where this chapter is going, but it's a little bit clunky there. Yeah, I don't know if I can retrain myself anytime soon to do this Catarl thing. In the white wastes of Kayabad, the days blazed and the nights were bitterly cold. Stinging wind bit at their backs, and a weird dirge dogged their steps. Burback hesitated to put his worry to words, as if to name it was to create it. Even in this vacant wasteland, they should have seen someone by now. The brigade should have seen someone by now. The sky itself was barren. No birds, no clouds. The sky itself was barren. No birds nor clouds. This is a semicolon. I'm almost certain of it. Well, is it a semicolon? Because no birds nor clouds is not a complete sentence. And it's not a complete clause either. We'll have to wonder over it there. It's beyond me. I would have put a semicolon there. Yeah. All right. Let's check this. See, if we're smart, we can actually sit down and learn the rule here, why this needs a semicolon, because both of us... no, this sentence does not need a semicolon. In fact, adding one there would be grammatically incorrect. A semicolon, like I said, is used to connect two independent clauses here. So even in this vacant wasteland, is a it is, according to this, a dependent introductory phrase, which makes sense because it's not like a complete thing, right? There's not a subject or a verb or whatever. Okay, and then the brigade should have seen someone by now is a independent clause, a complete thought. Because you're connecting an introductory phrase to a complete thought, a comma is the correct punctuation mark to use. Your sentence is already perfectly punctuated exactly as is. Thank you, Grok. Normally we would have like one or two people who actually knew grammar in the stream that would say this, but with want of them. Oh, what's going on, Big Vicodin? Oh, God. No, you're right. That was the sentence. Oh, God. Let me see here. Vicodin, I got power back. I had to go buy a generator. That was madness out here. We lost power for, I think, 36 or 666 hours or one of those numbers. That ends in 6. Oh, wow. So here is why you can't use a semicolon because they're not independent clauses. So you need a colon, according to Grok. Let's see. Although the rest of the advice in this AI slop is god awful there. All right, so, but that does seem to track to me. The sky itself was barren. Yeah. So, semicolons join two independent clauses. A straight colon is all over there. A tree fell on my street, totaled two vehicles parked on either end. Oh, that's wild. Yeah, a lot of trees down out here in Romania. A lot of vengeance going on. Totaled two vehicles parked on either end. That's awesome. Were they good vehicles? Uh, all right, anyhow, we're spending a lot of time on this. I actually feel like the sky itself was barren, no birds nor clouds. I feel like this is a hack sentence, to tell you the truth. I feel like we're just our problem is not semicolon. I think it's just, I don't know, let's let it pass for right now. I don't have a better idea. When the wind died, the distant hum faded away. Ooh, a Cadillac. Awesome. I'm sure that that's a person who contributes heavily to society and deserves to ride around in a Cadillac. Mm. The sky itself was barren, no birds nor clouds. When the wind died, the distant. So. All right. Let's try it this way. When the wind died, the strange hum in the distance faded away. The whole column would pause, for it felt like time itself had stopped. Bah! Burback clutched his well used axe and hoped the foe would show itself soon. So this is repetitive. Yeah. No, I don't like the smell an ambush. Yeah. And so if we're talking about an ambush here, we don't need to have it in the first paragraph, and here it gets into it. So I actually like how this paragraph has turned out here. The sky itself was barren, no birds nor clouds, extra space. When the wind died, the strange hum in the distance faded away. The whole column would pause, for it felt like time itself had stopped. I like that a lot. Um, I have been out in the desert with people, and I've had like those weird moments where everybody's like, that's so. I dig it. Bah! Burback clutched his well-used axe and hoped the foe would show itself soon. He hated waiting. They'd spent days climbing the howling passes of High Ayardur to reach the bleak expanse of the Kayabad. A blanket of fine, white sand covered everything, so the wasteland appeared snowbound in all seasons. A blanket of fine, white sand covered everything. The wasteland appeared snowbound in all seasons. Their eyes ached at the glare, and their noses bled from the bone-dry air. It was a storied place. Countless battles had raged across. was a storied place. In the old days, yeah, we can't just do that. Mm-hmm. It was a storied place. And then here, you need your semicolon. I think I deleted that before you could get to it. But yeah, it should be Kayabad. So let's go back. Kayabad, Kayabad. All right, there. We're good. It was a storied place. Many great battles had raged across these sands. Let's see. Let's call them Cursed Sands. There we go. They're really given a lot of data here a couple of times. The heartbroken brigade strode across the pale dust, too aware of the ancient armies buried beneath their feet. Yeah, so this was cursed ground. Oh, I like that I at least made it rhyme. It was a storied place. Many great battles had raged across the bleak waste. The heartbroken brigade strode. Mm-hmm. The heartbroken brigade pressed north. Strode north, yeah. Mm-hmm. I like this a little bit better. It was a storied place. Many great battles had raged across this bleak waste. And let's just make sure that we don't use bleak waste elsewhere. Yeah, we're really selling this desert a little too hard. Must have been drinking a lot of coffee when I did this. All right, let's see. Yeah, I would really love for somebody to cut this down. All right, let's try to get through it, and then maybe we can go back and like have the Oracle take a whack at cutting this down or something. I may just leave it for the actual editor. Mm-hmm. Gemini says hyphen should be removed because it comes after the noun it describes. Too aware of the ancient armies. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So I think we get past a lot. I'm going to give you a point for just notifying me about the. I don't necessarily agree with the AI there. I'm going to give you a point, which brings you to three. Because I think it was kind of important to, yeah, all the fantasy chapters just need so much work. I don't know why. Maybe it's just like a lot harder to write good fantasy than it is to like. I was writing the Martillo chapters, easy, you know. But the fantasy, you really gotta. I guess you're trying to be more evocative or provocative or dick blockative or something. But all right, let's try this. All too. I want something like all too aware. This is a clunky way to do it. This was a storied place. Many great battles had raged across this bleak waste. Their boots sank deep into the pale dust. The soldiers were all too aware of the ancient armies buried under their feet. This was cursed ground. The soldiers were too aware. Yeah, I don't think that there is a hyphen there. So you get the point after all. I don't think we need to say all too aware or anything like that. I think this is chill. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. At least it was impossible to get lost. No, that's not. All right, so that's where we need a semicolon. Because one small blessing, it was impossible to get lost. Their goal dominated the horizon, an ill-fated mesa called the Broken Anvil. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I like. I think I wrote ill-fated mesa just because it rhymes. Yeah, and it does indeed rhyme. They were bound for the schism, a deep rift that led down to the black. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, let's try this again. One small blessing, it was impossible to get lost. Their goal dominated the horizon, an ill-fated mesa called the Black. That's not an independent clause, so we need a colon. Mm. This is so. At least it was impossible to get lost. Their goal dominated the horizon. An ill-fated mesa. Yeah, ill-fated. Yeah, this is. Mm-hmm. A towering mesa called the Broken Anvil. They were bound for the schism, a deep rift guarded by. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, let's try this. At least it was impossible to get lost. Their goal dominated the horizon, a towering slab of rock called the Broken Anvil. The great track that divided the mesa was the only passage down to the Black Hills of Sparfadil. The great crack that divided the mesa was the only passage from the south down to the Black Hills of Sparfadil. There we go. Wintermoor Fortress guarded the gap. Wintermoor Fortress guarded the gap. It was perhaps the most important imperial stronghold, save mighty Anvilan itself. The fortress was of mortal make, dwarven work from the kingless age. Mm-hmm. Why would we say that it's more? Why would they assume it's immortal make? I don't know what I was thinking there. The fortress was dwarven stonework from the kingless age. The white winged walls that flew from either side to span the rift. Oh yeah. Wow, we really go into this. Why didn't I cut this in the initial edit? I'm going on. Wait, how many pages have we been going on for? Okay, so this is good because it builds tension. Here, this is bad because I'm high when I'm writing it or something. Uh, like I want people to have a good vision of what this fortress is like and to be like, "Whoa, that's cool, bro." But I don't want the entire thing to like come to a crashing halt while we're trying to figure it out. But it also might be that like because I've already done a bunch of writing today, so I don't have like all the mana that I normally would doing the editing stream. So it may be that I'm just tired, like my brain is tired, and it's like, oh this. Though I guess if you're writing for the modern reader, you can expect them to be completely distracted and overstimulated at all times. So the mizzen. The main fortress was of mortal make, dwarven stonework from the kingless age. The white-winged walls that flew from either side to span the rift. The two white-winged walls that flew from either side to span the rift were something else entirely. Taller than the tallest trees and regular as a honeycomb, six-sided pillars of white columnar basalt rose from the sand in staggered rows. Each was so wide that 20 men could not clasp hands around it. Massive as they were, the pillars were packed close as whales' teeth. A lizard could scarcely slither between them. When the wind grew fierce, all of Kyabad groaned with a funery dirge. Where were the watchers on the wall? Okay, cool. So that's ham-fisted, but also kind of cool. I like that they have this big screen that's making all this sound, and I like the idea of giant hexagonal white columnar basalt pillars and so forth. So I'm with it. But maybe we can tune this down a little bit. Wintermoor Fortress guarded the gap. It was perhaps the most important imperial stronghold, save mighty Anvilan itself. The main fortress was of mortal make, dwarven stonework from the kingless age. This needs a colon. Or doesn't need a colon? Alright. See, we got colon on the mind here. And when you have colon on the mind, you write like an asshole. So let's... I think just a comma is fine there. Okay, the comma is right. Yeah, like, also, AI just has this stupendously, it just loves hyphens and, M dashes and semicolons and so forth. Human beings, like, we really need to just take some of this nonsense out of our language. Like, I don't believe that most people on a conscious level understand, like, the difference between a colon and a semicolon. I don't think that they do good dramatic work any longer. And I could be wrong, but I'm not. So, the main fortress was of mortal make, dwarven stonework from the kingless age. The two white-winged walls that flew from either side to span the rift were something else entirely. Taller than the tallest trees and regular as honeycomb, six-sided pillars of white columnar basalt rose from the sand in staggered rows. Each was so wide that 20 men could not clasp hands around. Yeah. We're just trying to avoid units here. So what we're talking about is baleen there. I'm saying whale's teeth, but I mean like baleen, like where it has like that. Actually, it might have been high, and looking at like a microscopic thing of baleen when I was coming up with this nonsense. And also, we have like 20 men can't clasp their hands around it, and yet like you can't. There we go. Yeah, let's take out some of the atrocious stuff in here. I'm gonna give you a point, Agatha, for whale's teeth. Boom. When the wind blew through the columns, all of Kaabad groaned with a funereal dirge. Where were the watchers on the wall? Dogs! Dogs! Just me. Blogging. Hachi, come here. Come here. No bark. Cut it out. Devil dogs. I don't know what's upsetting them. Probably crackheads coming to murder me, as usual. Where were the watchers on the wall? Even a stone-skulled berserker knew Wintermoor was vital. Oh my god. Why do I go so into this? Even a stone-skulled berserker knew Wintermoor was vital. Anvilan had grown too large to sustain herself. The Empire was reliant on Sparfadil's bounty. Without the endless train of grain barges on the Viridian River, the Imperial capital would starve in a season. So where were the defenders? No outriders came to challenge the Heartbroken Brigade, and no scouts spied them out. I wonder if there's a consolidated Streamaboo block list here. Hold on. This is actually... Because we get one of these like every day. So, let me see if there's like a third-party block list. Block list manager. Block list buddy. Commander Roots known bot list. Currently blocking 64 million. We've been using follow bot attacks or spam bot attacks. Let me see. If the streamer has sound alerts turned on, for instance, this creates a lot of unwanted noise and distraction on the stream. Spam bots are where, whatever. Let's see. Someone identified millions of bot accounts being used for this. They had a block list buddy with 70 million known bot accounts. Rootonline.de. Let's see. Server-side block list. This seems so crazy. Yeah, this is not. I'll just click no. The the effort to deal with these people is insane. If we just nuked India, I'm just saying, like, you know, I know it's like it would take 200 or 300 of them, but saying like that'd be the end. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of horrendously racist to say that nuking India would fix a lot of like scam caller things, but I like to see the numbers, to tell you the truth. I'm just so tired of it. Like, so much of our time is wasted on this, these parasites. But you know, I'd like it if, you know, there was like some kind of local enforcement type thing. But I don't think it's coming. I think COVID 2.0 will probably do the job, but we'll see. But also, I could just not care about minor annoyances that take like 2 seconds. It really is it's just like terrorism, where the response is so much worse than the actual act. Some idiot blogging an ad, and now I'm derailed and out of my flow state, and it's my own fault. All right. So this is a direct thought and should be italicized. So where were the defenders? No outriders came to challenge the heartbroken brigade, and no scouts spied them out. Burbank. Actually, this would happen. No. So, like, I was going to change that because those two things would happen in sequence, but not going to do it. Burbank was sure something was wrong. He looked to the elves. Their long ears twitched at the off-key breeze. Cinnabenathi met his eyes. She felt it too. She felt it too. As the day, I think we talk about the day burning a little bit later, a bit earlier here. Yes, the day burned down earlier. It's astonishing. The first Hugo Award winner to advocate for the destruction of India. I wish I could say that that was the truth, but Arthur C. Clarke did it in, I believe, 1984. He also advocated for the nuking of England, but it's mainly because newspapers charged him with pederasty, which I will say, like, based on my own research, like, the scuttlebutt is that he did it, but there is almost no evidence that he did it. So if you were wondering, like, whether or not Arthur C. Clarke was a pedophile, I don't know anybody who knew him, because, like, I mostly know people who were, like, in the convention scene back in the day and so forth. There's one guy who I will ask, but, like, he's so tired of me just being like, hey, was such and such guy a pedophile? And, that's, which unfortunately, that's just a part of, what being involved in the arts is like, I guess, if you want to call this an art. But not, if there was a way that we could nuke only the scam call centers and the automated warranty call lines and the romance scammers and the AI scammers and the Bitcoin scammers and the Twitch message scammers and the, why I'm salty about this is because I did that call-in show for so many years, and we were devastated by the number of people who AP Newsroom has a quote, an unrepentant pedophile. Yeah, maybe more data has come out since, because I think it's either one or two guys seriously accused him of it, and it was maybe like an open secret among a few different people. That's not quite enough data to convict the guy, but also, it doesn't look good from the outside. Let's just say that much. But I was really getting into my rant there, but a rant will not edit the chapter there. But yeah, what I'm hopeful is that like AI will eventually weigh all of us in the balance and find us wanting, and it'll just, like, everybody who their activity on the earth is a certain degree of parasitic, just a nanite burns out your brain and you're harvested for your nutrients. Like I could see a future like that happening for sure. It's kind of cool, actually. Like I don't think I would, like, the activity that I do on a daily basis is probably pretty parasitic. It's not like call center defrauding old women thing. Anyhow, I was going on, but I really am salty about it because they just ruined Craigslist, right? I did so much good work on Craigslist, and then just finally there was, like, such a fever pitch of scammers and so forth that it completely destroyed the site as a place to do commerce or anything like that. And I'm aware of the irony. I am also responsible for this. There were straight up policy level changes at Gregulus that were caused by yours truly. I'm sorry. We're just trying to have a good time. but it was a joke, a prank, or whatever. But yeah, really, like what I did is nothing compared to the sort of, and I'll tell you, like for Craigslist, there's a lot more like Nigerian activity than there is Indian activity. So maybe we need more nukes. And no, I could never glass Nigeria. Shout out to Kamara Usman. Really did not mean to get into genocide so early in our heartwarming tale meant to benefit people suffering from leukemia. Uh, God. All right, wait. Let's see. Let's find out because now it's bothering me that I don't know whether or not he was a pedophile. Let's see. Sri Lankan authorities say the Spanish-born SF writer Arthur C. Clarke had been cleared of a decade-old pedophilia allegations before his death last week. So, well, in 1998, he gave an interview to London's Sunday Mirror in which he stated he had engaged in relations with young boys, claiming it was okay once they reached puberty and did no harm. Days later, Clarke vehemently denied these allegations, calling them grossly defamatory and wholly denied, and sought legal advice. He requested the postponement of his knighthood by Prince Charles to avoid embarrassment. The Sunday Mirror provided a recording of the interview to Sri Lankan police, which Clarke argued was obtained through a sting operation and a misleading editing. So Sri Lankan authorities investigated the claims with Interpol's assistance. Police recorded Clarke's statements, but no charges were ever brought against him. No case against Clarke, no formal complaint from the victims had come forward. The government described him as the pride of Sri Lanka and closed the matter. Some journalists argue that the allegations were true. Clarke never sued the Sunday Mirror for defamation, though he consistently maintained his innocence after the initial retraction. Upon his death in 2008, official condolences from the UK government were absent, but Sri Lankan authorities reaffirmed he had been cleared of all wrongdoing. So I see this one guy, Jason Sanderd, his article come up all the time. Let's see. I'm gonna look into some of these other things. I met a woman. All right, so somebody spoke Harley. Disproven and apologized for. So really, it would come down to like knowing what was going on at the Mirror, which is like a notorious tabloid, and like numerous times has gotten zapped for this kind of thing. Yeah, it's tough to say there. Like, just his actions as a response to the article do not seem exactly like an innocent person, but I want to extend the benefit of the doubt also, just because he is like a straight up genius when it comes to writing. Um, he was one of the people who like postulated that we would have orbital satellites before we even did it. Just brilliant guy, great books. And I would like to believe that he did not do these heinous actions. But again, none of this is getting our story. You know what it is? I haven't done the other show in like so long, so I haven't been able to get all the black poison out of my body. Yeah, it's killing me too. And like, just the deeper you dig into dudes from like the 50s and 60s, the less like good you're gonna find. But I mean, same thing for like Jimmy Page and Steven Tyler and all these people have been up to like such dark arts that it scarcely bears recounting. All right, Let me try to get through this chapter because it's a long chapter too. We got a lot of work to do on it. Um, I'm gonna fight against the ADHD. Let's see. Where were the watchers on the wall? Even a stone-skulled berserker knew Wintermore was vital. Anvilan had grown. I did this. Um, Burback was sure something was wrong. I also don't know if I can get away with off-key breeze. Ah. Mm. All right. So where were the defenders? No outriders came to challenge the heartbroken brigade, and no scouts spied them out. Burback was certain something was wrong. He looked to the elves. Their long ears twitched at the off-key breeze. Let's, yeah, I want to, like, make sure that we have, like, pointy-eared elves here, and not, like the long, floppy anime elves, which are an abomination. This is another one where I'm no longer sure that it doesn't need to be colonized. That's the real danger of colonization there. Okay. No, yeah, so the problem is we have like a slew of tiny little sentences here that just come out like turd nuggets, like one after the other there. He looked at the elves. They're sharp ears, tips and he send it at him. She felt it too. Yeah. Okay, and that is something I've been meaning to fix since before we got distracted by all that unpleasantness. So I think I've been on this paragraph for half an hour. Burback was certain something was wrong. He looked to the elves. Their sharp ears twitched at the off-key breeze. Cinnabenathi met his eyes. She felt it too. As the march dragged on, even the men began to mutter among themselves. All right, so Mm-hmm. There we go. We were trying to get to this for the whole chapter. Total control. Total control. Oh, there we go. As the march dragged on, even the men began to mutter amongst themselves. The last stretch was a grueling climb up a jagged slope. At last, the stronghold came into view. The worried whispers turned to groans of black dismay. Burback's pulse thundered in his ears. Wintermoor Fortress was shattered. Some awesome force had torn apart the stout walls of dwarven stone and shattered the ashlar of the great gatehouse. The watchtowers were toppled, the outbuildings were flattened, and the roof of the keep was staved in. Even the ground was disturbed. Great ripples Even the ground was disturbed. Great ripples of broken earth radiated out from the center of the devastation. Only the hammerhead-shaped chapel Only the chapel was left standing. With a sinking feeling in his gut, Burback turned to the other leaders. They were ashen-faced, save the master halberdier. A sign. The soul forge is unbroken. The Emperor is everlasting. Gunag Dorson invoked. He pointed to the distant chapel. His lieutenants took a knee and made the sign of the hammer across their breastplates. Gunag set off downhill towards the... Yeah, we used chapel like 3 times here. I spelled Gunag. Oh, that's right. Let's go back to the start of the chapter here, where we have his name here, Lasky Thrasher. And so this also, I have to remember to Hero Burback Breakbow, Silkstone, Gunag. So 2 N's in Gunag, and I think that tracks with the other times that we've had Gunag. Another point, Agatha. All right, here we go. Let's see. I like the chapter, honestly, but it is kind of like a slog for a reader to get through this. Gunag Dorson invoked. Yeah. Yeah, like it's cool. It's just it needs a lot of work and probably more work than the single pass that we're doing. Honestly, I believe that this was rewritten from something that was worse, right? And the problem is when you rewrite something that is worse, anything seems like an improvement. So it's easy to like come out with something that is mediocre or whatever, just because you're like, well, it's at least it's better. But like the goal is not better. The goal is best. Hugo winning, award winning best, like Hugo and Nebula winning best. So I swear I can do it. It's not a joke. So anyhow, although I can't do it if we're constantly calling for genocide against hardworking call center scammers and talking about which of the luminaries of the organization that we're trying to get an award from is a despicable pedophile. Um, Although I feel like we're fair and balanced in our investigation there. Uh, Only the chapel was left standing. Let's see. Only the Imperial Chapel was left standing. With a sinking feeling in his gut, Burback looked to the other leaders. They were ashen-faced, save the Master Halberdier. A sign. The Soul Forge is unbroken. The Emperor is everlasting, Gunag Dorson invoked. He pointed to the distant chapel. With its distinctive hammerhead roof. All right, yeah. It's like a Pizza Hut for souls. His lieutenants took a knee and made the sign of the hammer across their breastplates. Oh, by the way, just Martillo, the titular character of this story, means hammer. I'm just throwing it out there. Gunag set off downhill towards the shrine, eager to witness the miracle. Close at Burback's side, far-sighted Cinnabenathi shook her head. He needed no words to know what was behind her emerald eyes. All was lost. And this is kind of like a hokey sentence. He needed no words to know her thoughts. All was lost. Should we warn him? She whispered. Burback considered it and shook his head. No. The fool is blinded by paper faith in that feckless emperor. It's no armor at all. Emperor is capitalized. He may break, Cinnabenathi warned. Better here than in battle, Hilg opined. We ought to leave these wishful weaklings. Someone's got to soak casualties. Men can be replaced, Cinnabenathi reminded the dwarves. Hilg nodded the point. They were all worried about the Imperials. Cinnabenathi's hawkmoons were elite. Heald's shear-bearers were as tough as the bulwarks they bore. As for Burback's squad, there was no question at all. The berserkers were utterly insane. They would fight until their veins ran dry. Humans could not be trusted. Even now, Dorson rushed ahead, heedless of the danger. I feel like this needs a comma. Yeah. Let me see. Although, rushed ahead, heedless of the danger. Yeah, screw it. Because I already took the comma out, is what has happened here. Even now, Dorson rushed ahead. Why are we calling him Dorson instead of... Even now, Gunag rushed ahead, heedless of the danger. Prescoat the sage hobbled uphill with the help of his apprentice Bobbert. With the help of his apprentice Bobbert, Prescoat the Sage finally gained the summit and rejoined them. He squinted at the runes, shook his head, and drew a golden spyglass from his marvelous robe. Idiot, he snorted, watching the dust rise from Gunneg's strides. He twisted the lens to focus on the fortress. As he surveyed the devastation... As he surveyed the damage, the sage's mouth moved in mute protest. What did this? Young Bobbert gawked at the ravaged keep. Prescoat cuffed the back of his head, hard enough to make the boy's jaw clack shut. Mind yourself, dunce. I love the word dunce. Especially, like, I really think you can put more on the word dunce than you can on the hard R, right? Mind yourself, dunce. Ugh. That's just great. I really can't, well, hold on. I have to, like, really say it with my chest. Mind yourself, dunce. No, it really has to come from a place of deep emotion. But yeah, it's a great word. One that really needs to return to the common parlance post haste. With the cone and stuff. Oh man, come on, rappers, bring this back. Mind yourself, dunce, Prescoat warned. He nodded to the dwarven leaders in apology. No need to dance around it. It's a drake, Burback spat. Hilg flinched. To dwarves, the word was an unspeakable slur, a bitter reminder of their undoing. It could easily be a giant or some other great beast. There's no scorching on the stones, Hilg observed. Now who's wishful? Burback jabbed. Ahead, a scream rang from the chapel. No. Oh, I like how this goes, actually. Did I miss a capitalized dwarves a few paragraphs back? I easily could have. And the awful part about this is just the editor has to undo all of this, I think. Like, I'm not certain that I can get away with, like, having the race names and the unit names and all that, like, capitalized everywhere. 114, top of the page. Oh, yeah. But to me, like, capitalizing them all does something. It's like kind of a weird space because we're almost like in a liter RPG. A good catch, actually. I'm going to give you 2 points, Agatha. So you're up to 6. So you are now tied for number 1 with Sloth, and Sloth is busy having sex with a horse. So you could easily surpass him here. Yeah. Like, it's... So the thing that we're doing here is that, like, this is almost... Like, we're writing about a game, and so we're going to take some liberties with formatting that make the writing feel more game-like, especially in these chapters here. So I actually really like... what are we going to call this chapter, either? Let's see... Oh, yeah, we're going to call this... I like this. Yeah. So this is a Sandy Amsler special here. That's gonna come on this. I like what this chapter is doing. Like, it really is building like some cool tension there. Like the question, like, what is going on here? Why are they feeling so weird and so forth? And we haven't done that a lot of times already in the story, so this is relatively effective. We just want to make sure that we don't use the same kind of ramping build each time. There are cool things in this chapter too. Like the creepy desert, the guy blinded by his paper faith and a feckless emperor, dope. And I like that there's child abuse too. He just cuffs the kid in the back of the head hard enough to make his jaw clack. That's what old wizards are meant to do, just beat children. So, all right, on to 115. Are you sure you want to do that? Sandy asked. Robin paused. He kept his hand on Burp. Oh, Hachi. Hachi, come here. Come here, buddy. Oh, we've been visited by the long dog of success. Hello, sweet. Oh. Hello. Oh. Hello, amigo. Hello. What's going on, buddy? Say hello to everybody. Oh, what a sweetheart. What a sweetheart. I would never set fire to a structure that you were in intentionally. Oh, she's the greatest. Hello, buddy. Oh, oh, oh. Are you bored? Just sitting around on your own? All right, come here, come here, come here. Oh, sweetie. Hello, dog. Hello, doglet. Oh, she's very bored up there. Like most of like the family and the juggalos and so forth that are usually in this drug house are not available. So she's just waiting for me to finish editing so we can go to the PARK and throw the BALL. Mm-hmm. Oh. What do you think, buddy? Are we going to win that award? We're going to sell 1 million copies of this and buy you the best doghouse ever? Oh. Oh, what a sweetheart. All right. And I should get the honestly, I should set up a camera while I'm here to the stairwell that they hang out in while I'm editing so that people can see them just waiting for me to finish this and take them out to the forest. All right. Robin paused. He kept his hand on Burback as he looked over the board, a habit from chess. From chess. Yeah, his chess. A habit from chess. Sandy Amsler was a sophomore. He wore round glasses and cut his hair in a mop top. In a vain in a vain hope girls might think he looked like John Lennon. Oh, and then if we do okay. He wore round glasses and cut his hair in a mop top, in a vain hope that girls might think he looked like a young John Lennon. Was Robin really missing something, or was it a bluff to get him to... Oh, this is italics. Oh, no, actually, we can't put this in italics because it uses his own name, so it can't be a direct thought. Unless he's, like, thinking... You know, those people, like, is Zach really gonna have to slap a bitch? You know, like, So... Was Robin really missing something, or was it a bluff to try and get him to make a mistake? It was the first time Robin's heartbroken brigade had faced Sandy's rune reavers. He wasn't quite sure how to read Sandy yet. It was the first time the heartbroken brigade had faced the windsworn rune reavers. Okay. Yeah, and then we can use Robin here. He wasn't quite Robin. Robin wasn't sure how to read Sandy yet. With a frown, Robin picked up Diario de Martillo. So D is Diario de Martillo. And I think Diario has a an accent mark. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. And does Diario have an accent? No accent. Diario. No, because the natural stress aligns with standard spelling rules, no written accent or tilde is there. This differs from words like dia, which requires an accent to break the diphthong and stress or shift the stress to the first syllable. Man, a lot of rules in this old grammar. With a frown, Robin picked up Diario de Martillo. Inside the black and white composition book, Robin had sketched maps of each battle. As they played, he sketched notes. As they played, he took notes and logged every move. Later at home, he would pore over each log. So I think it's possible that earlier in the book we have gone over this here, but it's something that I wouldn't mind repeating like once. I don't want to repeat it a bunch of times. Also, shout outs to 7 viewers. I don't know where they're all coming from, but welcome. And if you enjoy editing science fiction and fantasy, we will be doing this every day for a month. So come on down. Also, it dawns on me that the date here, date, no, date, this guy. There you go. Not that. That. Yeah, that G was just messing with me. Although now they're not in line with these other parts. Whatever. All right, let me boom that up one, too. Yeah, I just had the G hanging into our thing, so it was bugging me. All right. We don't need the later there, too. At home, he would pore over each turn, reviewing the positions and thinking of what he could have done differently. Oh my god, are you checking your notes? Sandy asked. Yeah, of course, Robin said. Before the game began, Robin had written down all the special rules for the scenario. Sandy had 2,500 total points, but he could only bring in 500 points per turn. Robin only had 150. Oh my god. Okay, so let's try this again. Before the game began, Robin had written down all the special rules for their scenario. You can control backspace full words. They're really nice when I screw up a bunch of words in a row. Yeah, I'll try that. I'm just, it's going to take so long to get rid of that muscle memory. I've literally been doing this for years. We need a way to send key stuff. Oh, shoot, Agatha Anonymous, your name turned purple for some reason. I don't know if you logged into Twitch or if you became a follower or something like that. But, hacks? Oh, man. I've been trolled. Let's see where we're at there. Before the game began, Robin had written down all the special rules for their scenario. Sandy had 2,500 total points, but he could only bring in 500 points per turn. Robin. All right, there we go. Robin only owned 1,500 points of troops, so his army was limited to that. But he got to field his entire army at once, and he had objectives on the board. So I'm this matters because I want it to be clear that the other players, or like maybe Duncan or the guy running the tournaments, is making like these little exceptions for him, so that even though he's poor, they will let him do this whole thing. Robin only owned 1,500 points of troops, so his army was limited to that. To compensate, he got to field his entire army at once, and he had objectives on the board. He'd written down each and underlined them. Take and hold the chapel. 1 CP per turn. Capture points. Or command points or whatever. Maybe we should just make these VP so that there is not like the unfortunate Arthur C. Clarkean confusion. Yeah, let's do that. So in the Nerdhammer, I believe that you play for CP, but in this story, let's just make them VP. 3 VP. Yeah. Yeah, man. The internet has ruined everything for everyone. Take and hold the chapel. 1 VP per turn. Perform the rite of purification. 3 VP. Reach the rune keep and escape before you're overwhelmed. 2 VP. Guys, let's keep moving so we can get a second round of games later, Duncan reminded them. Before they could respond, Chuck and Bill Wilson began to... Duncan leaned over to remind them. Guys, let's keep moving so we... Guys, comma, let's keep moving so that we can get a second round of games in later. Okay, this is like the referee. Would it be a comma instead of a period before Duncan? No, because and this is one where like I do this all the time. So leaning is not speaking. You only get the comma when the dialogue tag is a dialogue verb. So, guys, let's keep moving. We want to get a second round of games in later. Duncan said would get the comma, right? But leaning is not speaking, so he does not get that comma. All right, and let me just verify that what I'm saying is true. Yeah, honestly, like, I'm skeptical of. All right. Okay. Because the sentence continues after the quote with a speaker tag, leaned over to remind them, the dialogue and the description are part of the same overall sentence. So it's either called a dialogue comma or a quotation comma. So you use a comma if the sentence continues with a speech verb. Use a period if the quote is a complete sentence and what follows is an action rather than a speech verb. But this is a... Yeah. So we can just fix that. Yeah, yeah. So I'm split there because I know that it's like a speech verb like said, muttered, reminded, explicated, defecated. Those are always a comma there. And um yeah, yeah. So here we can just fix this that way. So this is one where I am not convinced that the thing is right. Um, you're learning a shit ton from these streams. Oh man, I said shit. That cost me $1, Agatha. I'm gonna get over like the amount that people who have spent actually money. I'm gonna wind up paying more just to curse on stream. Uh, yeah, man. Grammar. Yeah, like some of this is good. I really like the whole process of writing books and researching and so forth. Um, Really, like half the reward of it is like finding out weird stuff. Because you're like, hey, I wonder how this works or whatever. Like almost all the learning I've done in my adult life has just been like trying to figure out how science fiction premises work. I was like thinking about today. I was like, how does a buffered multiple actually work? Like, what's actually happening on the like circuit level or whatever? There, all this stuff is just coming up, and I want to know. I do want to know how a buffered multiple works. Hold on, let me find out. How does a buffered multiple work? High fidelity distribution hub for control voltages. Let's see. So it uses a powered electronic component called an operational amplifier or an op amp. So op amps have high input impedance because the resistance is so high, it draws virtually zero current from the sequencer. So there's no heavy load. And then there's the op amp uses an internal negative feedback to constantly compare its output voltage to its input voltage. If the input is 1 volt, the op amp instantly adjusts the. How is it instantly? Let me see. Outputs have a very low impedance of 1 ohm, so they have a lot there. All right, so each one is just an op amp. Although I wonder how like an op amp. All right, anyhow, this is how you rabbit hole and blow your entire thing. All right, but I did want to know that earlier. Now I know the answer is op amps, but I don't know what an op amp is. So that's the next thing to find out there. Guys, let's keep moving. We want to get a second round of games in later. Duncan prodded at them. Duncan prodded them. Before Robin and Sandy could respond, Chuck and Bill Wilson began to argue loudly about spell effect precedence. Duncan hurried over to intervene, which freed Sandy to ignore his admonition completely. Duncan hurried over to intervene. This freed Sandy to ignore his admonition completely. It's a game, not class, Sandy teased. I like making maps and recording stuff, Robin bristled. He was ready to get into it if Sandy started making fun of him. Interesting. Can I see? Sandy asked. Robin's instinct was to refuse. Back in Amarillo, his friend Jose once found a half-completed comic book Robin and Emilio had been working on. It was a first attempt. Back in Amarillo, why do I keep going Amarillo? Back in Amarillo, his friend Jose once found a half-completed comic book. Back in Amarillo, his friend Jose once found a half-completed comic book that Robin was drawing. It was a first attempt, hidden in the drawer of his desk and not meant for anyone else to see. Jose never let anything go. He called Robin Picasso for weeks until Robin finally snapped and socked him in the gut. They brawled while all their friends howled around them, and neither got off easy. Robin's two front teeth were loose for a week. They made up after a while, but Robin was guarded after that, and much more careful about hiding his stuff. Ugh. Why does Windows not let you hold a key and then get the accent? This is like one of the things that I use all the time in Mac. Mac us. There's probably some key command that you could do to do this, like if I wasn't dumb. Yeah, I once had that like two front teeth loose for like a week thing after a guy headbutted me at a party, and then I donkey slammed his ass. But it doesn't help like when your teeth are like that's whatever. I was worried they were gonna fall out and everything, but like they're fine. I continue to have front teeth. Let's see. I didn't enjoy the donkey slam though. Real talk. You know, it's a good fight when you're like thinking about it. It's been 20 years, and I'm like thinking about it now. I'm like, man, I wish I could fight that guy again right now. Like, hopefully he's not like a UFC guy now. He's probably dead. I could fight his skeleton, choke him out. Ugh, take that, Boney. Ugh, hell yeah. All right. Robin's first instinct was to refuse. Back in Amarillo, his friend Jose had once found Back in Amarillo, his friend Jose had found a half-completed comic book that Robin was drawing. It was a first attempt, hidden in the drawer of his desk and not meant for anyone else to see. I wonder if I need a comma there. No. I could probably just X Gemini in the, well, let's not enable Gemini in this thing here. I'm really trying to have like a real human being be doing this, and like AI only used for figuring stuff out. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we do not need a comma. All is well. It was a first attempt, hidden in the drawer of his desk and not meant for anyone else to see. Jose clowned him about it in front of everyone. He called Robin Picasso for weeks until Robin finally snapped and socked him in the gut. He called Robin Picasso for days until Robin finally snapped and socked him in the gut. They brawled while their friends howled around them, and neither got off easy. Robin's two front teeth were loose for a week. Both of Jose's eyes were blacked, and Robin's two front teeth were loose for a week. Robin and Jose made up after a while, but Robin was guarded after that, and much more careful about hiding his stuff. Um, that feels very real to me there. Um, I like that, it'd be like a year ago or whatever, and he still has like that impact. Like, don't show people. Still, he was tempted to share. Robin had put a lot of time into his diario and kind of wanted to show it to someone. Sandy was a good artist. He might have some tips. I can't show you this battle. It's got some of my plans in it. But here's my last one. Robin flipped back to the skirmish with Sammy Wilson. Sandy looked over the map. Numbered arrows showed the troop movements, charge orders, and retreats. On the right-hand side of the board, so I think we already talked about like the notation that he's using. On the right side of the page, there was a column of letters and numbers. BZODK, A3C3, 15 exclamation point, and so forth for each turn. What are these? I divide the battlefield into an 8x8 grid. Columns are letters, rows are numbers. BZ is berserkers. The carrots mean charge. DK is death knights. 1 to 5 is casualties. Your berserkers took out 5 death knights? Yeah, I think Sammy was getting bored by then. I warned him the berserkers were ready to retaliate, but he said let it rip. Ha! R.I.P. indeed. Did you have dismount on them? Yeah, it's really good. Totally wrecked Jeremy's Chaos Knights with it last week. I remember. Cavalry are so vulnerable this edition. You really... Let's see. Totally wrecked Jeremy's Chaos Knights with it, too. He'd call him JC, not Jeremy. Totally wrecked JC's Chaos Knights with it, too. I remember. Cavalry are so vulnerable this edition. You really have to safeguard them. This is so cool, using a code to record the moves. It's just chess notation, adapted for LOR. My grandma's been teaching me. She's really good. Is she like a grandmaster? A grandma master? Sandy laughed. I don't think so, but she's really good. We play a lot and I haven't beat her yet. She has me write down each move as we play, just like this. Then... She has me write down each move as we play, just like this. I can kind of visualize the whole game by remembering the letters. She says when I get good enough, I can play a whole game without the board. I can kind of visualize the game by remembering the letters. She says when I get good enough, comma. She says when I get good enough, I can play the whole game without the board. Alright, this is another one where I'm not convinced that we don't need a comma. Here's why. The phrase, when I get good enough, is a dependent clause and introductory element. Whenever you start a statement with a conditional or time-based phrase like when, if, because, or although, you need a comma at the end of the phrase to show the reader where the meat of the sentence begins. Okay. She says, when I get good enough, I can play the whole game without the board. So a quick trick to double check. If you flip the sentence around so the introductory part comes at the end, the comma naturally disappears. Okay. She says I can play the whole game without the board when I get good enough. Huh, kind of interesting. Introductory part comes at the end. Oh, that's kind of like a neat thing there. I don't know that I'll be able to use that rule to remember anything. But there we go. That's so cool. And you're like writing a whole story of what's going on here. I'm just goofing around. Robin waved it away, but Sandy kept flipping through pages. Look at this. You got drama between your squad leaders, a quest for revenge. Wait, is this a forbidden romance subplot? Sandy grinned wide. Robin almost grabbed the diario back. Are you two going to play or just yammer? Vlad snapped. Clan Blacaw squared off against Duncan's Imperial Wizards. Ooh, I didn't realize I was gonna like throw a clan reference in there. Damn. Clan up. Do not clan up, by the way. Young readers who may be watching this, they're all 100% just FBI at this point. Like only the very stupidest people on earth would ever join up with those yokels. And also, it's like a dumb idea. But just FYI, like literally, like those local whatevers, 100% FBI. I wonder how much the U.S. government spends a year just on fake Klan members. Because honestly, like, who would join up at this point? You'd have to be so regarded. I think I'm allowed to say retarded without paying $1 to the Leukemia Research Foundation. But it's just so exhausting. Also, like how much of our time and effort we all spend like thinking about what can we get away with saying and what are we allowed to do and what are we allowed to whatever. It's too much, guys. You got to be free to IRC. At the next table, Clan Blacaw squared off against Duncan's Imperial Wizard. Newly freed, Duncan's Gorthar celebrated by landing 2 crits in a row on the Booga Chieftain. One more crit, and the Imperial Army would get a huge morale bonus. Also, Booga, I think, doesn't fit in with like the naming for the Blacaw later on. I think this is before we really like hammered in how goblins and stuff worked in this. We'll leave it as it is. Don't rush me, fatso. Some of us like to think before we move. Is that the secret to your success? Vlad nodded at the leaderboard. Sandy's Reavers were still in last place. Focus on your own opponent, both of you, Duncan chided. Sammy clammed up. When the older boys focused back on their game, he stuck his fingers behind his ears so they stuck out like Duncan's. It was mean, but Robin had to laugh. Sandy handed back the journal. Let's just call that diario. Yeah. This is really cool. You should turn it into a comic book or a short story or something. Hmm. Yeah, how are there no commas in this sentence? Maybe we don't need them. Here's why. When you connect a short list of items using the word or between every single item, you omit the commas. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense too, and like it also works with the way that somebody would actually say this phrase. You should turn it into a comic book or something. You should turn it into a comic book or a short story or something, right? When you have the two ors in there, it becomes like it flows differently when you read it aloud. Yeah, I'm not that good at drawing. I can mostly do simple stuff. Just takes practice. You should. Mm-hmm. It just takes practice. You got to see my sketchbooks at home sometime. There's some wicked stuff. Maybe you can help me out with chess. I keep I keep getting whipped by my little sister. What were you saying about that move? Robin asked, wary of Duncan. He didn't want to get scolded again. Yeah, so I've played this scenario before. It seems like a good idea to move into the chapel and get that VP right away, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've played this scenario before. It seems like a good idea to move into the chapel early and get the VP right away. But then your opponent's deploy zone gets closer and it can swamp whoever's at the chapel. Those VPs don't matter if you get routed. Yeah, CPs sounded so much cooler in here. I really am annoyed that I have to change this just because it is also the abbreviation for Comet Ping Pong and Pizza. Don't metagame, Vlad hissed. That's terrible advice. Four, four VPs is a huge deal. The scenario changed this edition, too. Ahem, Duncan barked. He pointed to the sign that hung next to the leaderboard. No quarterbacking. Robin was caught between the conflicting advice. He didn't want to seem like he was picking Vlad over Sandy, but at the same time, there was every chance Sandy was either wrong or trying to mess with him. It was a ranked game, after all. The thought of all the birds he'd have to paint to replace Prescott made his hands ache. Uh, Thinking of all the birds he'd have to paint to replace Prescott made his hands ache. Ooh, struggling to read this guy at this point. Thinking of all the birds he'd have to paint to replace Prescott made his hands ache. I already wrote the move down, Robin said. I'll just run with it. Ooh boy, okay. Don't say I didn't warn you, Sandy said. He seemed like he meant it. Robin looked at Vlad, but his face was just a perpetual frown. If he meant to trick Robin, it was impossible to tell. Hold on. Was that chapel... No, this should be... Hold on. Was the chapel triggered? Duncan turned back to their table. I didn't activate it yet, Robin said. How many units are within 12 inches of it? All of them now. All of them? Roll this. Duncan handed Robin a 20-sided die. The whole room got interested and leaned in to see. Robin rolled a 1. Duncan handed Robin a 20-sided die. The room... The whole war room stopped playing to watch. Robin rolled a 1. Snickers and groans rolled in from all over. Hang on. I need to get a model out of the case. Duncan left with a wicked grin. Rut-row, Sandy sang. I had a homie in the Air Force that would always do that. Rut-row. When shout out to Senator. All right. So I'm pretty happy with this. I also think, oh wow, how many hours I've been doing this? Like 2 hours? This is about a good time to stop here, cook something to eat, and then post this chapter up. So let's post this guy up. Thank you, Agatha, for all your help during the session. Thank you, Vicodin, for derailing me completely. I hate you. No, it's my own dumb fault. On the dashboard, let's write a new chapter, and then all right, and let's go up here. And let's make sure that all of our formatting is okay. Oh, and then, yeah, so I'm unhappy that underlining did not pass through. Did italics paste? Oh, yeah, italics. So italics paste, underlining does not. Let's get a space in between here. Cool. So my only worry about the chapter after, I think we did some good work today. I think this chapter is like 75% better than it was. My only worry is that I, earlier in the story that we already did, like some of this work here. But I think we're good. All right, so all right, cool. So Agatha, you get a shout out in the edit board lead, and then we can publish this chapter, and then despair because nobody has read it and left little heart marks or whatever. By the way, if you're enjoying this, please find the chapter on Royal Road and 5-star it so that other people can find it. This would help a lot with getting some traction here. And also, you know what would help a lot is if I fix this this dumb image here. But yeah, it's going pretty good so far. And then I'm not going to resubmit this content form. There, looks good. All right, so 2 hours work. Got one chapter. How many words is this? Let's see. We have to go to tools and then word count. So yeah, this is like about 2,300 words. This is about what we want to get done every day, is at least one chapter of 2,500 words, or like a couple of little chapters that make up to it. So thank you all for your help. Good work, and Godspeed.